Welcome once again to Pen and Compass Podcast. I'm the co-host, Rodney McGilvery, sitting in for Jeff Bennett, who's actually going to give a nice little presentation on Hark the Herald Angels Sing.
So, hey, everybody, this is a part of our, Jeff Bennett, by the way, this is part of our Esoteric Imagery series that Rodney and I are doing. We're going back and forth. We love symbolism and digging deeper into things. So, this is going to be kind of a combination of text, lyrics, thoughts, symbolism, imagery. And so, I think you're going to really like this. So, here we go. So, the short story goes today, this is a Sunday when we're recording this. I was able to sit in a worship service, and the second song that they sang was Hark the Herald Angels Sing. And I am blessed with having the lyrics up on an image, up on a screen as we're singing them. And there were other images that were red and blue lights, and just kind of, my church has these like murals and these background, and it's very much like a concert, a Pink Floyd concert or something kind of almost psychedelic at times for me. And Hark the Herald Angels Sings, love this song. So I got inspired to go and what I would say exegesis or break this down, and then also tie it in with my other passions, which is the Royal Arch system. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So Rodney asked me as we were about to record this, who wrote Hark the Herald Angels Sing? And it's really kind of a real quick history lesson. I don't do bios and history a lot, but this kind of is really amazing the way the modern day version of Hark the Herald Angels Sing came to us. The original lyrics were written by Charles Wesley, who was the founder, along with his brother John Wesley, of the Methodist Church in England and the US and around the world, obviously. And so he lives about the same time, and this is what also I related to Freemasonry, about the same time that we're getting the degree work and what's going on. So this is a very common thought. And a lot of times people are looking for those origins within Freemasonry. Well, if he's in England in the 17, if he's born in the early 1700s, he's a part of the Anglican Church, more than likely, because there hadn't been some of the other reformations going on and some of the later things. And so he is influenced by this. He's well learned and has a couple of different college degrees, gets an opportunity to take over as a minister in the church. And in 1739, like it says there, he wrote a collection of hymns and sacred poems. And so in that, he wanted to give this like personal relationship, this direct spiritual energy. And he also wanted to base things on what he saw within the interpretation of especially the combination of the Old Testament and the New Testament, which excites me because that's a lot of the way I feel like I view my theology, cosmology, a lot of those things. And so he wrote a certain version that we wouldn't really recognize today. And it wasn't Hark the Herald Angels Sing as like a title. It was something that he had written as a poem, and then he started debuting that, just like we all probably would, in our own local area. So first of all with his congregation, and then kind of spread throughout the different churches in and around in the Methodist congregations in and around London and England. So hark how all the Welkin rings. Glory to the King of Kings, peace on earth, mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. So we would recognize some of that. You're saying, what's a Welkin? And a Welkin is basically the vault. It's an archaic term for the vault of heaven, the place where the treasure resides, lies, is resourced, is kept. It's basically the spirit where the Spirit of God resides. It's this high heaven, this throne room. And so all this is kind of sitting there, and it very much translates back to not only Freemasonry, but a lot of esoteric and mystic studies. But it's very much, I think it very much relates back and forth for a couple of 300 years. And I think it really feeds into what I feel like whenever I go into the background that I have religiously, that this all definitely weaves into itself. So it says rings, and that's not like a ring that would be on your finger, which would also be kind of a cool esoteric parallel symbolism interpretation, but it's more of a loud, fierce sound or noise. And so if you think about that, there's this Spirit of God kind of emanating out, kind of like the background behind me. It's resonating out through all of creation, through all of existence, through time and space and everything. And that matters kind of to the Christmas story, to what we know these verses in the four Gospels. It relates heavily to most of Rosicrucianism, so much of esotericism, Christianity, mystic practices. But the version that we know was influenced by George, actually it's pronounced Whitefield. He lived about the same time, you can see there from the dates. And the crazy thing is he was actually a contemporary and a college buddy at Oxford with Charles Wesley. So George Whitefield is on the left and Charles Wesley on the right. And they actually were in a literary group or society, kind of like a college fraternity, around 1732. They both were in this extra group that met on the Oxford campus. I say they because it wasn't only Charles Wesley, but also his brother, John Wesley, which is part of the intrigue. And so George Whitefield decides about he has access to this. He hears it, and he actually goes off and is a little bit more a part of the Calvinist movement, what we would consider the Puritans, a little bit different. I would actually say it's the precursors to probably what you would think of today in the U.S. as some denomination of Baptist, Southern Baptist, or the other ones that are out there. I'm actually Southern Baptist. If you've never watched Pin and Compass and heard me say that, that's my background. But anyway, he goes in and he starts rewriting the different pieces of this. Instead of the King of Kings, the newborn King. So he's thinking more of Jesus as a small child, Jesus coming in the world as a baby, and kind of the whole birth till death, kind of the whole cycle of life that we would see. And so he starts rewriting this, and part of the drama is Charles Wesley did not like it whatsoever. And actually, in accounts that I read, he was not even, he would get up and leave if he heard this song played in this way and with these lyrics. And so he never sung it himself. He never promoted it within his congregations. And like I said, he was not happy about it.
There wasn't such thing as a copyright law back then.
Well, not only that, but he feels like his friend betrays him on some level. He's trying to one up him, I think. But that happens a lot, right? I mean, we want peace and harmony, and that's a very common theme in esoteric groups, fraternity, and pretty much any human-led organization. Oh yeah, they're all human-led organizations on this, whether it be work or whatever. So it's a good moral lesson in the wisdom, kind of even from the recent history of the world. But a lot of this is based on the interpretation of a couple of verses out of Luke, the second chapter of Luke. And here's the King James Version. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of heavenly hosts, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men." There's an extra bit of God and sinners reconciled. Goodwill, there's multiple interpretations of this verse in the Bible in the different translations. And I would encourage you to go read those in this Christmas season as this video is coming out. To do your own work, let's say, to do your own investigation and discovery and see what it speaks to you and how you interpret it. Or if you read something different than what you've always heard, go find it in there's probably 80 different versions to this, but just go read 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the music started really being refined, and it has its genesis with Felix Mendelssohn. And as you notice, he's after Charles Wesley and George Whitefield. And he is touring around in London in the 1830s. And he has written all these different compositions. He's German. He's a pianist, organist, like it says there, a conductor, very involved with putting on different concerts, music. He's Jewish by birth, but the accounts that I read said that whenever he was in his youth or as a child, he adopted Christianity. So he crosses paths, like I said, and this guy who is an Englishman, William H. Cummings, comes across his music, and in 1855 he takes Whitfield's lyrics and adds Mendelssohn's tune, and it's the version with 2 lyricists and 2 musicians that we have today. And ironically to me, it appeared in print, probably one of the earliest times it appeared in print was actually in the 1857 Methodist hymnal. So if you were wondering how we got these hundreds of year old songs that we sing every year, and you probably have heard all your life, because whether you attend church or you can't get away from it, even in retail stores and in different public places and events, "Hark the Herald Angels Sing" is definitely on the top 10 on the playlists, especially if it's a more religious type Christmas gathering, Christian based Christmas gathering.